You already know. Frequency Friday. Talk about the Akashic Records. Real quick. We're going to get up out of here.
Today's video, I'm going to break down pretty in depth what the Akashic Records actually are based on my experiences of leaving my body and learning all about reality, eventually discovering what these Akashic Records actually are. You do not have to agree with me. This is just my perspective based upon over 5 years of out-of-body experience and learning about reality. Without further ado, let's get into today's video. Hey, so when it comes to the Akashic Records, people say that term all the time, but we really need to analyze what these words mean. You have two words, Akashic and records. What does Akashic mean? Akashic means something that is of Akash, something that comes from Akash. But what actually is Akash? Akash is a Sanskrit term that means space. So the word Akashic means of space. It refers to something that either comes from space or exists inside of space. So when you combine that with the word records, you have pretty much space records, or the records that exist in space. What are records? Records are pretty much just information. When you look at it like that, it becomes very simple to understand the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records is really just referring to information inside of space. Now, records oftentimes deal with history. The information that these records actually are usually deal with telling you about what has been in this location. When you keep records of something, you're pretty much keeping history. It's still information, but it typically relates to information that's trying to tell you what happened in the past. This is why a lot of people, when they talk about the Akashic Records, they might also refer to the records of their past lives. Some people call these past life records, or they might say soul records. Understand your past life records actually exist beyond Akash. They exist beyond space. You existed before space and you incarnated into space and time. The history of your soul is not inherently in the quote unquote Akashic Records, because the Akashic Records would deal with information inside of space. Now, if you incarnated into space and time before, then yes, you can tap into that history. But when trying to access the information of your soul, this can actually be done in a different way that might be a bit more effective. In order for me to really break that down, though, we need to understand the different planes of existence. Because when you understand the different planes of existence, you understand what Akash is even more. So when it comes to how I've learned about reality and how I have come to understand reality to this day, I operate from the framework that there are 12 planes of existence. Now, some people might perceive it as 3 planes or 4 planes, 5 planes. Some might say 24 different planes. You can actually split these planes up in various different ways. If you split them up enough, you could get over 1 trillion planes. Or you can group them together where really it's just one creation. You know, doesn't really matter how you want to group them up. But to keep it simple, we're going to use 12. I feel like when talking about 12 planes, it kind of just makes sense considering that you have things like 12 months, 12 zodiac signs, and then when it comes to the number 13, you have the 12 planes, the 13th being source. You have the 12 zodiac signs, the 13th being Ophiuchus. You know, we used to have 13 months before, now we have 12. So you also have Jacob in the 12 tribes. You have 12 tribes, but Jacob is 13. You have Christ in 12 disciples, right? Christ is the 13th. So I bring this up because the numbers 12 and 13 seem to show up in various different places of reality. And real quick, when I mention these 12 planes, I am not talking about the 12 realms of the construct. When it comes to the 12 realms of the construct, that would pretty much just be different layers of the physical plane. Because once again, you can explore various levels of these different planes. The physical plane has its own layers. We are simply at the densest one. But the 12 realms are all around you. People talk about the angelic realm. Understand that if you were able to perceive more of the light spectrum, you could see angels right in front of you, because all the realms inhabit the same space, but they're separated by frequency. And we as humans do not have bodies that are currently perceiving these higher frequencies, although we could tune our bodies to perceive those things. But since we do not always know how to do that, the best way to explore these realms and other planes is typically by leaving your body, or maybe by tapping into it through meditation. But
Thank you.
My main point
Meditation.
is that when it comes to these 12 planes of reality, plane number 4 is the Akashic plane. You could also call this the mental plane because your mind forms through plane number 4. This is pretty much the plane of information. Plane number 4 is an informational field. You can say that the Akashic records are a 4D field of information. Not 4-dimensional, but a 4th density field. Because densities refer to different layers of, densities refer to different levels of consciousness. It speaks to how expanded or how dense your awareness actually is. The 4th plane could be considered the 4th density. That is why I'm saying that the Akashic Records is a 4D field of information, because it's a 4th density field of information. Now, this information actually programs reality. You see, plane number 3 is the astral plane. This is the plane where you have light. Light allows information to take on form. That information is like the programming behind how certain things look. For example, you could think about a dog in your head, but you could also imagine a dog. When you imagine a dog, that's just information turning into an image. Yeah, plane number 4 is the information. It's the programming of reality that becomes an actual image. It starts manifesting as light. Then waves of light move through ether to eventually become physical matter. You see? And when I say ether, the etheric plane is referring to a plane that is composed of energy that some people might call ether, some might call it black energy. Pretty much the energy in the etheric plane is what allows waves to turn into particles. If you understand quantum physics, you know that energy, including light, exists as a wave and a particle. The reason why waves can become particles is because you have ether. In the astral plane, you're not bound to form. You're not bound to particles. You can expand beyond particles. You are not bound in that same way. Like out of your body, you could change how you look. In the physical plane, you can't just change your form completely. You could like get a shape up, cut your hair and whatnot, but you can't just make your eyes turn blue. That takes a completely different level of mastery, unless you choose to get your eyes changed in a physical way. My main point, though, breaking it back to the Akashic Records, is that the Akashic Records would exist in plane number 4. Now, your soul exists in plane number 5. Although your soul's awareness is focused into the physical plane, that awareness originates from plane number 5. Now, your soul is an individualized focal point of awareness. It's also a creative energy. It's a pure creative awareness. Now, the thing is, the soul is programmed to be a certain kind of way. This is what gives you natural abilities, natural gifts. This comes from the programming of your soul. That programming is made in plane number 6, the architectural plane. That contains your soul's blueprint. I actually broke down the different layers of your existence in the school with me and my boy King Cash. This Friday, July 18th, I'm teaching the final class about the omniversal bodies, which talks about your omnisoul template, your existence as pure awareness, and who you are as source. But in the previous classes, I talked about your physical body, your etheric body, your astral body, your mental body, aka your mind, your soul's template, your spirit. I broke down what all these things are in the school. All of those classes have been recorded. If you want to see it, join the school. Go to my link tree down below, and then join the school if you want to see those. My point, though, is that plate number 6 has your soul's template. This contains everything that you need to know about yourself. Your mission, your purpose, your past lives, your talents, your gifts, all of that. Why am I bringing this up? Because when you talk about the Akashic plane and the information inside of space, understand that there's a lot of information inside of space, and not all of that information is true. For example, I can tell you that 1 + 8 = 25. That's information. Doesn't mean that it's actually true. This is why when it comes to different sessions that I do when I perform readings, I stopped calling them Akashic readings, because I'm not even tapping in when I do those readings. I call them soul readings. When I am tapping into your soul's essence, actually tapping into the structure of your soul, being able to tap into your natural talents, gifts, abilities, past lives, that all exists inside your soul. That goes beyond the Akashic records. Like I said, based upon the meaning of the word Akashic and records, this is referring to information inside of space. You existed before space. You exist outside of space and time. So your true essence exists beyond the Akashic records. All the information about yourself that you want exists inside of you. You do not have to go to some separate library and find out about yourself. It's all in you. You can access your soul's records, you could say. Now, why is that important to understand? A lot of people talk about how they channel from the Akashic records. They channel from this informational field inside of space, and that's great. I'm not even denying that they're doing that. But what I do want to bring up is that, once again, Just because it's information, that doesn't mean that the information is true. When you start tapping into the Akashic plane, you start tapping into the multiverse. The multiverse is just different timelines and different realms that collapse into the physical universe. To understand the multiverse more, go to my Structure of Reality playlist that's on my YouTube and watch the video that's called The Multiverse is Not What You Think. I broke it down in a very coherent way. A lot of people enjoyed it and understood it. I bring this up because different timelines exist. There's timelines that exist that have not manifested physically yet. And the information for those timelines exists in the Akashic records. It's just information. So the information for good timelines, bad timelines, neutral timelines, that all exists right there. There's all kinds of information inside of play number 4 that you can tap into, and you need to be aware of what you're doing because there are various kinds of information that might not actually be true in the physical plane. You might tap into a timeline where you could have been a junkie. You could have been an addict to certain substances. That doesn't mean that you're a junkie right now. That's a possibility, but you're not expressing that possibility right now. So if somebody were to tap into the records and say, oh, I saw you being a junkie, that doesn't mean that you're actually a junkie. It just means that that potential exists. You see, the Akashic records is very much tied to the mind because your mind's a group of information. You see, the Akashic plane, this field of information, is like the mind of the universe. It's like the thoughts behind the universe. You could say it's kind of like that. And your mind is formed from information. Your mind's a group of information that you tend to identify with and base your thoughts out of. If you expand your mind, you realize that what you think of as your mind is a part of a greater mind. It's a part of a greater field of information that you can access. You start tapping into that through your mind, which is great. But once again, just because it's information does not make it true. Just because you think a thought, that does not mean that it's true. You should treat the Akashic records the same way. Treat the Akashic records the same way. Now, I will say that I'm not really too attached to using certain terms because some people might say something like, no, you have the Universal Hall of Records, and all of that is accurate history for the universe. Regardless of what you call it, there are people that really do access accurate information. They go to certain places that exist in higher planes that hold information about reality, and that information can't be trusted, for sure. Some people might still call it the Akashic Records. You know, this is why I'm not inherently attached to any term. Just because somebody says Akashic Records, that does not mean that it shouldn't be trusted, but it also doesn't mean that you should immediately trust it. You know, you should do your due diligence to actually have discernment and also try to discover certain things for yourself. The best teacher is experience. Other people can point to certain things, but you need to actually go to where they're pointing. Other people can definitely help you on your journey, but it's still your journey for you to walk down. So if you want to call it so if you end up accessing your soul records, you call it the Akashic records, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? If you take your past life, you want to say this is the Akashic records, that's cool. If you go to what some might call the universal records and call it the Akashic records, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're tapping into information that's really benefiting you, you're learning how to verify things for yourself, that's fine. I don't really care what you call it. Even with the planes. Some can perceive 12 planes. Some might just say, dang, we're just inside of a creation. And creation has different layers. People talk about the construct. That's just one layer of the greater creation. You see, I call creation an omniverse. The word omniverse means all patterns of vibration. I call it an omniverse because creation itself, beyond just the physical construct, creation as a whole, is really just a field that vibrates at different patterns. And you could say that there's 12 main patterns of vibration that manifest the 12 planes, you see? But the omniverse is the field that holds together all of these different patterns of vibration. You see, when it comes to the physical construct, that's just one field inside of a greater field, inside of a greater field, inside of a greater field. There's fields within fields within fields, but it's all one main field. Depending on how you want to perceive it, you might perceive that it's just one field, you might perceive 12 planes, you might perceive 16 planes, whatever you experience for yourself, as long as it helps you to understand reality, it's making sense for you, it's allowing you to better experience life and navigate reality a certain kind of way, that's fine. You know, although I teach my framework, you don't have to subscribe to my framework. It just so happens that the framework that I use is a framework that other beings use in higher planes. And it's a framework that a lot of people on Earth, let me not say that. It's a framework that a lot of my subscribers really enjoy. A lot of the people who watch me, they really enjoy it. They feel like it makes sense to them. They can really perceive it for themselves. I've had people that have also perceived the planes for themselves, by the way. It's not just me, you know, but it's like that with everything.
And we can
all choose to access different frameworks. Like with me, I've tapped into frameworks that deal with only 3 planes. I've done that before. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can perceive all these different frameworks. This is just the one that I like the most right now, you know? And within this framework, the Akashic Records and the Akashic Plane itself deals with plane number 4. And it's an informational field that essentially provides the programming for how reality is going to look and how it's going to manifest physically at some point, you know? So I hope that the different things I said in this video make sense to you.
Yeah, and it did. The Akashic Records, like from his 5 years of training, out of body experiences, astral projection, meditation, and all his intense study, I came to those same conclusions through meditation, but overall, the answers are within. You don't need no library, you don't need no book. All the answers you're looking for is within. So I find that to be cool. But yeah, I'm gonna look up that Robert Sapolsky person. He said he studied at Stanford. So yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Looking him up now. He said something about the hacking your reptilian brain. He got some shit on consciousness. Biology. Okay. Oh yeah, I got some research to do. That's what's up. I'm gonna check him out. But let's hear what our
question. I think there's different ways to explain the Akashic Records, but I'm going to go into the more grounded and easy to understand. We can look at the Akashic Records as kind of like a database. A database in the ethereal plane. In that sense, it's in the 5th dimension, so we can't see it or touch it or feel it.
The last guy said the
through
4th.
An opening verse, an opening prayer, and through this database, we're able to ask questions in the database and get information about our soul contracts.
Okay,
past lives we've had.
Yeah, that's the 5th plane where the soul is at.
Karmic lessons, things that we need to experience in this life, and things we're really needing clarity on. So, big.
Yep. Check her out. She just popped up in my feed.
How do you connect or access the Akashic Records? And the way that I've learned, the way that I teach it, is through an opening verse or an opening prayer. So each teacher would download or connect with a verse, their own verse, to connect to the Akashic Records. And that verse has a specific vibration and tension that allows you to connect to the Akashic Records. You do have to have a good intention to connect to the Akashic Records, because if you don't, chances will be that you won't be able to connect to the Akashic. How do you...
Okay. She got longer videos. Soul contract. Okay, she talk about soul contract. Okay, she got at least 2 videos on the Akashic Records. Let's hear from her perspective.
Welcome back to my channel, everybody. It's a little late. It's July 2nd, though. I'm trying to share the messages as they come in. I was a little bit busy today, but today I'm sharing with you a little exercise. It can be really quick. You can do this in anywhere between 5 to 20 minutes. And yesterday I shared a message of connecting to joy. And almost like we have to choose a path, right? Like, am I going to stay in fear, or am I going to stay in this joy? And this is almost like a little bit of mixing in the family constellation energy. I always say I work with parts sometimes with certain clients, depending on what they bring forward and what they need help with. And you're going to need 2 chairs. So you're going to put one chair, you can even put them side by side, just facing you. And you're going to give them each a value. One could be the version of you. This is just an example, kind of going off of what we were doing yesterday, but this could be with anything. And I'll give you another example in a little bit. One that's connected to the fear and the insecurity, the insecurity or the unworthiness. And the other chair is the version of you that's living in its highest vibration, in this connection to desire and this connection to its purpose and mission. I need you to sit in front of those, or stand in front of those chairs, probably better. Calibrate your energy, come back into your body, connect to your breath, bring yourself in, maybe do a little tapping, you could do a little breathing, you could do some meditation, but you're going to come back into your body. into the present moment, and you're going to take first a second to see which one you want to connect with first. That'll say something in itself, right? Let's say we start with that version of you that's in fear and ego and this path that feels a little bit stuck. You're going to sit in that chair. You're going to close your eyes and you're going to feel into that energy. And I want you to just ask yourself, how do I actually feel sitting here? What's coming up? Are there memories coming up? Is there something that do you feel like you want to stay there? Do you feel like you want to get up? Like sit with that for, I would say, give yourself at least like a couple minutes, right? Depending on how much time you have. I would say try not to rush through this, allow it to flow as long as it needs to. And ask yourself, talk to yourself, maybe even talk out loud. Feel into it. Does anything feel uncomfortable? Is anything that feels almost like easy or like it's flowing or almost like a comfort zone? When you feel done, like I said, give yourself a few minutes. You're going to stand up and you're going to come back and face the chairs and come back into your energy. And then you're going to do the same thing, but sit in the other chair, in that other part of you. I want to treat this almost as parts of yourself. And you're going to sit there and do the same thing. Close your eyes, connect your body, and ask yourself, how do I feel here? What do I envision? Is there a part of me that can imagine anything if I'm in this energy? Does your body expand? Does it contract? Am I feeling this urge to get up or stay here? Do I get anxious? Do I feel at peace? What comes up? Not judging it. I always say the first thing is just to feel it, allow yourself to just flow through it, connect to it, and just like flow. Once you give yourself a few minutes to connect, you're going to stand back up and stand in front of the chairs and look at them. Come back into your body, into the present moment. Breathe. Maybe shake your body a little bit. I say come back into your body where you're not connected to any specific part of yourself. You could do this with decisions. Like that's what I was going to say a little while ago. If you have two decisions to make, one could be one of the decisions. The other one, like saying yes to a job or saying yes to this other job, or living here or living there. Decisions, paths. Do the same thing. Feel into each path. Where do you feel more called? What feels like it's more aligned for you? Where are you resisting? Do this with anything. This is great. I like the sitting because it almost feels like it plants you in that energy, it grounds you. You could do this with pieces of paper and stand on them, right? But I think the chair is almost like a more physical
So she's going over to
manifestation of it. It's kind of,
exercises.
I think it's kind of cool. What you can do once you come back into your body to give yourself a few moments and then sit and journal. You can sit and connect and write. Maybe do it again if you feel. You could do this several times in one session. You can go back to it in a week. I find this really helpful for decisions where you're not sure what feels right, where there's two things that you could pick and you're like, they kind of both feel great. I'm not sure. I'm having a hard time. I'm not saying that's going to help you make the ultimate decision, but it's going to take you one step closer, at least to feel into it and get out of your head. What these exercises do, and I'll be showing you guys other exercises throughout the month, it's almost like this energy of getting out of your head and your ego and just feeling in your body. The idea with this is you're connecting to your body and your emotions and getting out of your head and not thinking.
That exercise kind of corresponds with a meditation exercise with some chairs. Like there's an exercise where you gotta put yourself in the third person. You know, like see yourself, but you gotta see yourself planted in your posture, sitting up straight, breathing, doing a breathing exercise, and try to picture yourself watching yourself doing what you do. Then you can go off into a meditation. You know, it's a visualization exercise also. So yeah. Now there's the other one with the chairs and some mirrors and shit. I'm trying to figure out what that I forgot what that was. But like it's been a minute. It's been a minute. But like she using chairs like to explain what she talking about, basically saying that you can bask in your either your fear or you can bask in joy, but you got to make a choice. So it's basically like sit with the bullshit until it dissipate, and then sit in the chair of joy. And then, it's like, like emotions run wild. So you just got to sit down and choose the emotion that you want to roll with for the rest of the day. But if you're going to be full of joy, be full of joy. If you're going to be down, you're gonna be down. But the goal is to not stay in it. But she said in the Akashic record message, I thought she probably had some experience. I probably got to go through all of her videos. Her name is Lorena Espiga. And the last guy that was talking, I forgot his name. I got to go to it so I can say it. His name was Genie Dot Akaru. But yeah. But anything else on the Akashic records? At least give another video. All right, Akashic records intro. All right, they just got their journeys. So people got a lot of videos of their stories of their own Akashic record experience. Oh shit, my phone dying. What the fuck? There we go. Let me go back to it. My phone acting up. This phone. All right. What's this?
In the year 1913, the prominent mathematician G.H. Hardy received a letter from India, which was about to change the course of mathematics forever. The letter was from Srinivasa Ramanujan, who was working as a lowly clerk in an office in Madras. His letter to Hardy contained the most astounding mathematical results anyone had ever seen. But what is more surprising is that many of those equations are so complex that the current generation of mathematicians with advanced technology are still unable to decipher them. Some of Ramanujan's equations are now used to study black holes, which were not known in his days. Many physicists have even claimed that Ramanujan's results could be used to develop future scientific concepts and technologies, such as time travel and anti-gravity. But shockingly, Ramanujan credited all of his theorems and formulae to a Hindu goddess Namagiri. He used to have visions of this goddess, with all the equations flashing before his eyes. It is without a doubt that Ramanujan's hard work and dedication made him one of the greatest mathematicians of all time. But was there something more?
Damn. Never knew that. And all these other videos are like an hour long. I'm not about to do that. I'm about to lay down in a minute. I'm trying to find something that's a shorter video. Universal Records. I might do another one in the morning when I wake up. Probably another 16-minute, 20-minute. I'm trying to find a shorter one. Shouts out to everybody. Damn, one motherfucker had 11 hours? Jesus fucking Christ. And everybody else talking about experiences. There's a lot of people on these Akashic records. Oh, this 3 minutes. Yeah, but I'm gonna check him out. I'm gonna see what he's talking about.
Perfectly mixed.
Might cover him tomorrow. I mean, later on today.
The Akashic record is a Hindu concept that suggests that the entire knowledge of the universe is contained in one unified field. This unified field may be something that every biological entity in the universe can gain access to.
All the information is there. It's only a matter of tuning to that right frequency.
Tuning to the right frequency. It's Frequency Friday. Y'all just see what this, but it's only 3 minutes. And then there's a movie that just came out. I don't think it just came out. I think it's an old movie called Is Your Mother Home? Starring Julia Ann.
radio signal, and if you put it in the right channel, then you receive information, you hear the voice. All those information is there in the universe, in the cosmic consciousness. Literally, Akashic means belonging to sky, Akas. So,
no, the guy said Akashic mean space. And this motherfucker saying sky. But sky records, space records.
Akashic records can be considered as cosmic knowledge. It's not ours.
Yeah, you got to go all the way
It is
back.
belonging to something beyond human beings, belonging to something higher, divine, godly information, knowledge.
All experience is either a sensory perception or an image or an emotion or a thought. And we call it the mind, we call it the body, we call it the universe.
I read the Vedas.
All is happening is that the energy field is vibrating.
Not all of it.
Mind,
I read a little bit of the Bhagavad Gita too.
And the physical universe.
And the Mahabharata.
The fabric of space itself is
not all of
made
it though.
Energy and information. And the way this information propagates through the universe is through waves. We call that quantum waves. Quantum waves are common to all intelligent life. This means that all human brains, extraterrestrial brains, any sort of otherworldly beings also are tapping into similar quantum waves. In other words, we are all receiving messages from the cosmos.
Yeah, I hear about Trudy, Tahuti, Thoth, and all them other guys.
Dr. Richard Feynman was an American theoretical physicist who died in 1988. He was famous for his work in quantum physics and the unified field of Einstein. And what Dr. Feynman suggested was that through this quantum field, these radio waves, literally from outer space, are bombarding every human and carrying information that we could tap into. And perhaps this is how extraterrestrials are sending information to humans on Earth.
Had to go to the aliens, huh? Had to talk about the aliens. Maybe this is how aliens. Project Bluebeam in this bitch. Yep. If everybody got their own videos on it.
So, how can you access the Akashic records? First, find a quiet, comfortable space where you won't be disturbed. Begin by grounding yourself through deep, mindful breathing. Clear your mind and set a clear intention to connect with the Akashic records for your highest good. You might use a prayer or affirmation to focus your intention, such as, I ask to be connected with the Akashic records and to receive information that is for my highest good and the highest good of all.
Okay. The Akashic records. All right. That's it for now. Yep. Shout out to everybody coming through. Shout out to Comic. Shout out to Tammy. About to get ready to lay down. Check out this movie, Is Your Mother Home? Starring Julia Ann. Get it now on DVD. All right, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace. This is Frequency Friday. I might have another video later. And much love to my guy, this Vonta. See you when you get home, baby. Love you. I'm out. Peace.